The Self-Helpful Podcast is brought to you by Ziglar, your premier source for equipping life and leadership coaches. Visit Ziglar.com and let them inspire your true coaching performance. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining me as I talk with today's most important influencers, guides, and changemakers to uncover what truly drives them and extract the big takeaway from their personal journey and their greatest wisdom. I'm your host, Kevin Miller, and this is Self-Helpful. In this episode, I wrap up our series on confidence and have 7 key takeaways that stuck out after my discussion with Heather Monahan, our host of the Creating Confidence podcast. She's author also of Confidence Creator. That book, it was a new #1 bestseller on Amazon. Her brand new book is Overcome Your Villains. Also in episode 3, I had Tom Ziglar on to talk about this issue, to talk about what Heather shared and see his own insight. Tom is CEO of Ziglar, son of the famous Zig Ziglar. And he just brought me to some great insight on confidence as well. So walk with me as we discuss the knowledge given and the learning we have ahead of us. Number 1 here, confidence is just admitting a fact. So I like the definition of confidence. Confidence, a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. Everybody I meet has something that they know, something that they've learned, something they can do well. And they can do it better than I can. I've never met anyone who doesn't have somebody they can do better than I can. And if I said, oh my gosh, you're really good at that, or at least I could say, gosh, you're way better at that than I am. You can lead me in there. You can help me in that. For them to deny it it makes no sense. And I think it's often, this false humility. We're going to talk about humility in a second, but this false humility, instead of just being able to go, well, thanks. Yeah, I've done that a lot and grateful that I had the privilege, if you want to say, to be exposed to that and to learn how to do it, the opportunity to do that. We talk about in the book, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about people like Bill Gates, and not to take anything away from Bill Gates, but he had the privilege of being exposed to a computer at an early age. And then he did put his time into it. He probably had a knack for it or whatnot, but to say, oh my gosh, you are a god, Bill Gates. Hopefully he would say, no, man, I had some great opportunity. I had some great privilege. I got lucky, whatever. And then I did something with it. We can take credit for that. But confidence is just you do something well. There's something there's something you have experience, and you can do that. To deny that makes no sense at all. And we all need to stand in the confidence that we rightly have. And again, as the definition says, having assurance in the appreciation of one, or the recognition even of one's own abilities and qualities. Number 2, confidence only goes awry when we get arrogant with it, when we misuse it, let's say. Another definition, arrogant, having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. So if you're good at something, you're good at something. You're not the best, but you're good. You could even be an expert, but it doesn't make you an expert in life and everything overall. And we go awry with that a lot, especially in the arena of influence, of authority, of celebrity, of power, whatever you want to call it, where somebody does have an expertise in an area and they take it to mean or to think they need to be great in everything. I see that with coaches sometimes. Sometimes when they have something they're really good at and they feel like they've got to come off as they're good at everything. Doctors are key in that, man. If it's a doctor, they've got an MD by their name, then they're all knowing, all seeing and everything. That's why I love my friend Randy James. He's a medical doctor. He's a high-end medical doctor. He's a functional medicine expert. I was on an adventure with some guys with him not long ago, and one of them said, so Dr. James, they were really looking for counsel. What do you think about XYZ? And he said, man, I don't know. And that is the most undoctoral thing he's ever said. And you know what it did? Everybody's trust in him went through the roof because he was real. And he said, I don't know about that, but he does know what he knows, and he'll stand on that. So again, being an expert in one thing doesn't make you an expert in everything. It doesn't make you superior to others overall, even if you have an area of competence that they may not have. If you have 2 areas of competence, if you have 10 areas of competence, and maybe think of a little kid, which I have lots of little kids, or I have had lots of little kids. And, the good thing is for them to say, I drew a good tree. It's a good picture of a tree. I'm good at drawing. I ran fast. Maybe I even won a race. I'm a good runner. I got an A in math. I think I'm pretty good in math. I learned to ride a bike. Pretty good. All good stuff. Now, if they take it and go, I drew a tree. My tree is better than Johnny's. I'm a good runner. I'm faster than all that. They're slow. They suck. You get the point. That's where it goes bad. But in citing that they did something good, that is not the problem. And the big key, as I mentioned a second ago, this came up really big. It came up with Heather in the initial episode. And then Tom Ziglar really dove deep into also humility, confidence with humility. Confidence is being humble, is not denying what you should be confident in. And that's what we do. We try to deny that. Somebody says, oh my gosh, man, you're really good at X. We go, oh gosh, no, I'm not. Well, yes, you are. But he goes, gosh, just thank you. Thank you. Again, I great opportunity, and I've really put a lot of work into it. So thanks for seeing that. I really appreciate that. I hope to even get better at that. And man, I recognize what you're really good at. Although you don't even have to do that. That's another way, almost a false humility, to take it and go, well, you're really good at, we don't even have to do that. I mean, it may be appropriate at times, but to just draw it out, I've seen it almost rob people of a gift they're giving you. They want to encourage you. They want to support you, and they want to testify that, oh my gosh, that was really good. It's really impressive to them. To deny it is almost like saying, no, you're stupid. I mean, really think about it. If it hasn't happened, it's happened to me before when I give somebody a compliment and they deny it. And I'm like, oh, that is kind of mean. That feels bad. When you take my compliment, I mean it. I'm not blowing sunshine up your butt. So confidence with humility. Few of us have seen a good example of that. If you have, that is great. We generally see people who are arrogant. We like to talk about narcissism these days. Anybody who's confident is a narcissist. No, they're not. But if they misuse it, sure, they may go into that tendency, or they may take it into a bit of arrogance. Or we see a lot of the opposite side. I saw a lot of it in my religious upbringing. Not to diss religion, but I just happen to see a lot of it there, where people really try to downplay it. They take humility to mean, no, I'm not good at anything. I suck. I'm a sinner. I'm the worst. I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail right now, but that is not what confidence is. Number 3, if you are not confident, nobody will buy you. Nobody will believe you. Nobody will trust you. That's a hard one. Take that to that false humility type thing. If you just degrade yourself and don't accept any confidence, nobody else is going to believe you have any faith in you either. We're going to talk about faith in just a second. Heather said, until we realize our value, no one else will either. So think about some of those things. Think about yourself. If you're a parent, think about your kid. If they do not showcase some level of confidence in themselves, nobody's going to hire you. If we don't in ourselves, nobody's going to hire you. And if they do, nobody's going to keep you if you don't retain some confidence. Nobody's going to work for you if you don't have any confidence. Nobody's going to buy from you. Nobody's going to date you. Nobody's going to marry you. Your kids won't respect you. Man, you do confidence with humility and they will. They really will. So we got to look at that. If we are not confident in ourselves, nobody else will be either, and we will get nothing. We've got to be confident. So this is more than just hey, it'd be nice if you were confident. No, you've got to be confident, but in the right way. You and me too, man. I'm preaching to myself. Number 4, confidence is the foundation of faith. I mentioned faith a second ago. And it really is. It got me thinking about that. Confidence is the foundation of faith. Go back to religion. It's saying, man, I don't have proof. A lot of people of faith want to say that they do, but they generally don't. You don't have, if you did, it wouldn't be faith. It would be called proof. It's faith. If we don't have confidence, we don't have faith. Faith is having confidence in something. Faith is having confidence in us. Faith, we have faith to speak of a doctor. We can't prove they're going to do a good job, but we've seen the results. They've got the degree. They've done the work. We have faith in them. Not proof, but we have faith. Proof's afterwards, maybe. But we have faith in them. And nobody wants to be faithless. To think about that, to think if you are not confident, you'd almost say you're not faithful and you're faithless. That's convicting to me as I think about confidence, because I want to be faithful. Spiritually, I want to be faithful. With those that I love, I want to have faith in them. My gosh, I need to have faith in me. If I don't wake up in the morning with faith in me, that's a hard life. I've got to have faith. I want my kids to have faith in them, in themselves. I want them to have confidence, not arrogance. I want them to have humility, but I want them to have confidence. Really desire that for them. Number 5, confidence doesn't require proof of accomplishment, just proof of possibility. We have a lot of people who think, gosh, I'm bad. I've done poorly. And maybe you have in some aspect, and you didn't make an accomplishment. I mean, I've practiced so many things a lot, and I can keep practicing them. Maybe I'll have some natural talent that'll come out, but everybody can do the work. That's really the next point there. But think about that. I keep ruminating on this. Confidence doesn't require proof of accomplishment, but proof of possibility. We want to look at proof. We love that word of proof. And yet, if that's all that confidence is on, man, we're all going to be dashed quite a bit because we're going to make mistakes. Let's get into that a little bit more. Number 6, confidence can come. It's really derived from that, doing the work. We can work hard. We can try hard, and we can have confidence in that. Heather talked about that to a degree, about the idea of saying, a negative perspective is saying, oh gosh, I got a test tomorrow. I've got an interview tomorrow, got an opportunity tomorrow, and I'm going to do terrible. Well, that's just negative thinking. That's not going to help anything. But then to flip it was what we try to do, kind of Pollyanna it and say, I'm just going to do great. I'm going to do great. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to nail it. It's going to be a miracle. We don't really even believe that if we haven't done the work. We can then say, and this is what she talked about in her book. We talked about it in the show in the first episode. I was saying, man, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to study. I'm going to make an effort. I'm going to seek counsel. That we can do and go in with the confidence that we made an effort and believe that, really believe that. So confidence can come from doing the work, not just trying to paint it pretty. Last, confidence is not a result of perfection, but perseverance. I thought about that quite a bit. I mean, confidence has got to supersede a failure that we've had, a mistake that we make, a bad decision, and the resulting bad perceptions from ourselves and others. I mean, you will not be perfect. I will not be perfect. We are going to make mistakes. We are absolutely going to make bad decisions in our future at some point. Try as hard as we can not to, but we will. And people are going to see it. We're going to see it if nobody else does. Often somebody else is going to be privy to it. They're going to see it as well. And they may see it really badly with a really negative perspective and paint it horrifically and testify that you are less than. They'll judge you. Of course, what we're learning, the worst judge for me is myself. I judge me. So let me get past that. But even if I can get past that, somebody else is going to judge me for that bad perception, that mistake, that failure. They're going to judge it as bad, me as bad, wrong, stupid, maybe even evil. And you know what? Maybe I was in the moment, a moment of weakness that is human. I'm not giving a cop out or an excuse for it, but I'm admitting, I'm having to learn to admit that to myself. I am not Superman. I am not God. I am not perfect. So I'm going to have weak moments. I'm going to do some bad things. I'm going to make some poor decisions. I'm going to hurt some people, but I'm not that moment. You are not that moment. And you're not the perception someone had of you in that moment. And they may be carrying that grudge today. Man, we've got to let that go. I've got to let that go. That's hard. But it really makes sense, right? It was that moment. Think about, again, if you've had kids or you have a friend, someone you love, and you see them make a mistake. I mentioned my friend Randy a minute ago, and he'll make a mistake and he can get down on himself just like I can. But when he gets down, when I get down on myself, I just judge myself and think, yeah, I deserve that. And I really did do it bad. And I rip myself to pieces. When he does it, I think, oh, dude, just chill out. It's not that big a deal. And I have grace for him. Got to do that for ourselves because I see it not as him, especially with somebody I have a positive thought about, a positive perception of in general, I take it and I really minimize this mistake they made, this bad behavior, poor decision, whatever. And if we can do that to ourselves as well and realize that somebody else, if they have a good perception, if they choose to, they'll have that grace too. If they choose to have a bad perception, they're going to paint it really badly. And that's really bad. And it can be really hurtful. I want to say that we shouldn't care, be beyond that, above that. I'm not with people I care about. It's hard, but I've got to look at it and realize, man, that was a moment. I got to have grace. I need to consider it. What can I learn? If anything, usually there's something to learn. Maybe there's not a ton. Maybe it was just a bad mistake, a bad moment. Recognize it. Maybe you need to apologize, and then brush yourself off. Know your self-worth is bigger than that bad moment. Even if that moment was a decade long, maybe it lasted 2 decades long. I've had some moments that have lasted longer than that. But now it's past, and you know what? We're not done, and we got tomorrow. So here's to you and me having true, with humility, confidence. Hey, thank you for joining me on this journey to elevate our own experience and improve the way we show up for others. Big thanks to Heather Monahan for being our resident expert catalyst on this confidence talk. You can find her top ranked podcast. Again, it's called Creating Confidence. Whatever podcast app you're listening to right now, type in Creating Confidence. You will find her. Today I looked, and on Apple Podcast, look at the categories, the overall categories, not a subcategory, the overall, she was at 180 overall. That's a big ranking. And number 5 in the category of entrepreneurship. So you'll find it, Creating Confidence. Her first book is called Confidence Creator. It was a number 1 bestseller again. And her brand new book is Overcome Your Villains, Mastering Your Beliefs, Actions, and Knowledge to Conquer Any Adversity. Thanks also to Tom Ziglar, my dear friend, CEO of Ziglar. His latest book is Choose to Win. You can find him at Ziglar.com. I really encourage anyone to go there, see what they've got for you. But especially if you are a coach, they excel in life and leadership coaching. Go check them out, Ziglar.com. And if you appreciate this podcast, want to share it with others, I would be grateful. And please rate the show on Spotify. You can leave a rating and a review in Apple Podcast. You can subscribe on YouTube to watch the full episode of all our episodes here. And you can find me at social media at kevinmiller.co. If you want to learn how to master your inner drive, check out my book, What Drives You, on Amazon. And until next time, stay driven.